So there, let's now talk about the main topic for this live stream, and that's about the influencer marketing. Because nowadays, after natin na umpisahan yung discussion about the feud between Pia and Hart, early as March 12 this year, suddenly we saw a boom ng mga influencers in the Paris Fashion Week, in the Milan Fashion Week, over the course of the past year. Dati-rati, ang nakikita lang natin was Hart Evangelista at the Fashion Weeks, and now we have names like Kelsey Merritt, we've seen Kylie Verzosa, we've seen Zoe Santiago, Binibining Pilipinas candidate from Manila in 2021, from 2022 rather. 2022 ba? Hindi, 2023, sorry. Nagkamali lang. And then we also seen Michelle D there, we've seen Max Collins, we've seen Nicole Borromeo. So let's break down yung growth ng ng influencer marketing this year. Earlier this year, I mentioned that influencer marketing is going to be a huge thing, and brands will be investing with a lot of influencer marketing influencers this year in order to get the eyeballs that they want. This year, we've seen a lot of growth in that area. That's why we've seen more and more mga Filipinas and more mga Southeast Asian influencers penetrating the international mga fashion weeks. And I think it's about time that we discuss some of these ladies and what do they bring into the table. Okay? So first and foremost, unahin natin si Kelsey Merritt, because I think she is the face that could launch 1,000 ships. She is the girl that kapag sumali yan ng Miss Universe Philippines, tataob lahat ng mga bangka ng mga ibang local franchises natin, because babangga kayo sa kanila kapag si Kelsey ang sumali sa Miss Universe Philippines. However, do we feel that it is right for her brand to join pageants? Honestly, personally, I think no, it will not help her at all if she joins pageants, because she has now the career that any pageant girl would die for, or maybe even kill for. Because Kelsey is in that sweet spot where she's not very Filipina-based, but she's also international-based. Hindi siya, yung market niya is not just influencing in the Philippines, but more of the international na stage. And I think she is the best when it comes to her international presence, because for me, Kelsey has that New York vibes na I can actually say that Kelsey would be more effective in New York, in Paris, in Milan, over here in the Philippines. Dahil yung beauty niya, the way that she dresses up, the way that she is put together, I think it's much more very old rich New York na crowd. More like Upper East Side, if you're familiar with the terminologies in Gossip Girl, the Serena van der Woodsen and the Blair Waldorf na era. And I think that is something that I appreciate with Kelsey, kasi hindi siya lumalaban, or hindi siya lumalaro doon sa local na Filipino fashion scene, but rather her market is more on the international international na mga fashion weeks. And this makes me feel like she is in the right market to be based in New York for her influencer career, because that is where I think she is most effective in. And knowing that Kelsey was able to penetrate the Paris Fashion Week with a seat in Chanel, a seat in Hermes, front row pa yon, tells me that step down masyado for her to join pageants. And I am hoping that she does not really think of doing pageants anymore at this stage, because she's already in a position where she can achieve more internationally, rather than patunayan niya ang sarili niya at the Philippine arena. Wala na siyang kinakailangan patunayan dito sa Pilipinas. I think the best trajectory for her is to pursue her influencer and modeling career in the US and in Europe, and make a name for her in that space, because I think here in the Philippines it's too crowded. Masyado ng maraming pageants, masyado ng maraming pageant girls. It's too huge of a name for Kelsey na sumausaw pa sa local pageant scene. So that's for me. And I think also with Renz Pangilinan and her team, in Fashion Week, she is in good hands, and I think she's going to be a better, she's better off rather pursuing her international career, rather than setting up shop again here in the Philippines. It's like meron ka nang naipundar sa US, bakit mo i-discarril yun to have another go here in the Philippines. Parang you're already international, go expand there. Yun lang sa akin. Then let's talk about Kylie Verzosa, because I think among all the pageant girls na nag-shift ng careers after their pageant career is over, it is Kylie Verzosa that actually has the most smooth na transition from beauty queen to actress to influencer to entrepreneur. Because when you look at the trajectory ng career ni Kylie, hindi lang siya yung effective na na actress, but she's also a very smart entrepreneur with yung sola body na brand niya. And looking at Kylie, especially with oh God, I forgot the movie that she had with, was it Albert Martinez? And kaya niyang nakipagsabayan sa mga veterano na mga actors in the Philippine industry, and really, not be intimidated, acting opposite, Filipino greats in acting, tells you that this girl not only has talent, but also has a very smart na planning of her career after her stint in pageants. She can still pursue her acting career here in the Philippines. She can still continue her sola body na brand here in the Philippines. She can still continue her participation in Cannes Film Festival, and then still be able to go at Paris Fashion Weeks with a very select, very curated brands that she goes into, she watches, and then she patronizes, and still be Kylie Verzosa, not the Miss International from 2016, but rather Kylie Verzosa, the actress, the model, the influencer, the entrepreneur. So this is what I like about Kylie. Hindi natali yung kanyang identity with pageantry. She was able to evolve and transition. And I think among the girls during that time, it was actually Maxine Medina and Kylie Verzosa who were really very smooth, very successful in building for themselves a acting career. I remember si Maxine, nagkaroon pa yan ng mga shows in Channel 7, if I'm not mistaken. Meron siyang I forgot. Meron siyang parang afternoon teleserye with Gabby Concepcion and Sanya Lopez, if I'm not mistaken, where she really went, toe-to-toe with some of the veterans in the industry. Same thing with Kylie. She is able to establish for herself, a name in the industry. And when you look at her personal style for her fashion influencing na part, especially if you look at her social media, you can see that Kylie has a very distinct, very Kylie Verzosa na image. She has that very sultry, very sweet na attack on fashion, na kaya niyang magpaka-sultry, magpaka-sexy without looking, like a mistress. Kaya niyang itawid yung very fine line between what is considered a little bit, street, slutty na look versus the more sophisticated na sultry na look. And I think that is where Kylie is very successful in. Pag magsuot siya ng something sweet, there is still the hint of sexiness that is very Kylie Verzosa. If she tries on very seductive, very daring na mga looks, she is able to pull it off because she has, that very classy vibe on her as well. So she is able to balance yung very, kumbaga, if there is a third brand between what Anna Winter said, that, Versace dresses the mistress, Armani dresses the wife. She is in the middle. It's not too very sophisticated, it's not too very sexy. It's right just in the middle, perfect balance between class and very sultry, very sexy na image. And I think that is why it makes sense that Kylie, when she attends Fashion Week in Paris, she is very picky with the brands that she visits, that she sits in the front row in, because the image aligns well with her and her personal style, and then with her sola body na brand. So it makes sense. In fact, if there is a influencer here in the Philippines that I felt would have been perfect front row guest at, let's say, the Victoria's Secret na fashion show, it would have been Kylie. Kasi siya yung perfect yung kanyang personal style versus her kanyang entrepreneurial na brand doon sa sa image ng Victoria's Secret. So I think, we have to pay more attention with Kylie because among the Binibining Pilipinas alums, I can honestly say that Kylie is perfectly in the very niche na market when it comes to her personal style. So kudos to her, and I hope more success for her in the future. The mere fact that when she goes to Fashion Week, she is her stylist, she is her own hair and makeup na gumagawa ng kanyang mga looks. I give mad respect for that because nowadays influencers, when they go to fashion weeks, they have a huge team behind them to help them with their looks. With Kylie, kaya niyang gawin yun mag-isa. So mad respects for that lady for what she's doing in fashion weeks. Now, let's talk naman about Catriona Gray because Catriona does not do fashion weeks, which I kinda I kinda feel like it's a missed opportunity, but it makes sense for her brand. If you're not familiar, not all influencers get paid to go inside fashion weeks and the shows. Okay, let's pause that. Okay. Kasi for sure, marami na naman ang mag-aalbugo, no? For the lack of a better word, doon sa sinabi ko. Hindi lahat ng mga nagpupunta ng fashion week, binabayaran sila ng brands. Okay, let's be clear on that. Not every influencer gets to be paid by the brands that they visit or the brands that they watch. Kung meron ng fashion influencer na Pinay na pinalaya sa front row because she was not supposed to sit in the front row. And that seat was reserved for a paying client. This goes to tell you how low in the pecking order is ang mga influencers. Clients ang mauuna. Clients yung binibigyan ng priority over influencers. Not unless you're an influencer like let's say Anne Hathaway na celebrity influencer, na actress, na Oscar winner. That's probably the only reason that they will put you in the front row. But if you are if you're fairly new to the game, they're not going to give you the front row seat ng basta-basta. Okay, so let's be clear on that. Now, what I appreciate about Catriona is that her influencing career is very much calculated. Hindi siya yung basta-bastang bira na lang ng bira with any brand partnerships. And I think this also goes back to the fact that when Catriona was still a model, when she was in her 20s, in her late teens to early 20s, may ikwento sa akin na si Catriona, bago siya pipirman ng bawat kontrata niya, iniisa-isa niya yung fine print. She reads the fine print to make sure that she knows the entirety of the contract. Na pagbalik-balik rin man yung laman ng contract, naiintindihan niya kung ano ang laman nun. And this is the reason why she takes ownership on every thing that she does, whether it's in pageantry, whether it's the brands that she works with. It really makes sense, the things that she does. And if you look at the brands that Catriona is endorsing or influencing, does influencing marketing on, you would see that it is not just all fashion. Catriona has a very democratic, for the lack of a better word, a democratic assortment of brands that she endorses, that she does influencing work for. And you can see she has Cetaphil, she has H&M, which is a very, very mid-tier na brand. It's not high up in the luxury sector. It's not so low down in the mass market na sector. It is just somewhere in between. So Cetaphil, which you have, of course, H&M. Then she has Dior Beauty. Now she has NARS. She has what do you call this? She has endorsements in other in other sectors as well, where she is a NCCA, National Commission for the Culture and Arts ambassador. She is also the ambassador and spokesperson for Smile Train, and she just got an award earlier this month for being a very impactful na ambassador for Smile Train. She also does charity work for Love Yourself Philippines and Young Focus. So in terms of the brands that she handles, it is a very democratic, very wide range. And this is why Catriona, I cannot categorically call her as a fashion influencer because her brands are very spread out. And what I like about Catriona is that the brands that she partners with don't compete with other brands ng ibang mga fashion influencers. And this is the reason why it makes sense to see Catriona for Dior Beauty, and then for Dior Fashion, you have Heart Evangelista. So there is like a symbiosis with the ecosystem of brands that Catriona endorses versus the other more established na mga fashion influencers here in the Philippines. So that what makes me be appreciative of Catriona's influencing career. Hindi siya umaaway sa ibang mga influencer, hindi siya yung tipong nang-aagaw ng space from other influencers, but she essentially finds a niche market and then doon siya nagme-make ng killing in terms of the brands that she partners with. So that is what makes me really impressed with Catriona, because there is this podcast episode where may isang brand or may isang entrepreneur na gusto siyang ipag-compete with another, you know, endorser for tawag ito for let's say for the endorsement or whatever. So instead of saying yes to that, she stuck to her values na sinabi niya na tapos na siya dun sa mga panahon na gusto niyang mag-compete. And I think that is, you know, something na is reflective of her value as a person, her values as a beauty queen as well. Dahil doon mo makikita yung ayaw niyang makaapak ng ibang tao. And I think that is what makes me, you know, very appreciative of her. And that is also the reason why nung panahon na may mga nang-aalipos na sa kanya, I was ready to help her team to dispel mga misinformation and disinformation against her. So, you know, that is why I think among the influencers that nagsisulputan this year, she will be one of, or she is one of the 5 girls na for 2025 talagang bibigyan ko ng pansin, pagtutuunan ko ng pansin. The next girl that I want to include in this discussion is Zoe Santiago. She is fairly new. She just started, I think, just a couple of fashion weeks ago with her, you know, influencer na career. And nung nakakausap ko si Zoe earlier this year, she keeps on stressing yung kanyang vision when it comes to fashion. And what struck me was that she was very candid and very honest kung bakit mo ginagawa to. And she says that because this is fantasy, this is her fantasy. And it kind of gives me, you know, a very clear trajectory on what her career is going to be. Dahil if a lot of girls, a lot of women, when they were girls, when they were young, would dream up fashion scenarios, would dream up fantasies that they are a princess, that they are somebody else. They dream up, you know, mga scenarios that they fantasize that they are a different persona or a different personality, and always na nakatali doon sa fantasy na yon is yung fashion associated with that kind of career or that kind of personality or persona. And I think with the very honest answer ni Zoe when she told me na she wanted to explore fashion as a fantasy, as her fantasy, it kind of gave me, you know, a appreciation that she is treating this as a playbox, as a tawag nito, hindi masyadong seryoso yung attack niya when it comes to fashion influencing. That she's there to live out her own fantasies. And this is why, for me, among the new girls in Fashion Week, Zoe Santiago is someone to look out for in 2025, because she is quintessentially the everyday girl that you see growing up. She is everybody's, you know, childhood girl, grew up and now living, you know, in a fantasy world where she uses fashion, you know, to play out scenarios. And I kind of, you know, love the idea, because fashion is a fantasy, and a lot of people don't realize that fashion sometimes is hyper realism, and it is hyper realism that is brought out from, you know, wild imaginations of designers, the creative directors. That is why if you look at the trajectory of all the works of, let's say, Alexander McQueen, this all plays into her childhood and his imagination on what fashion is about. And if you look at the imagination of John Galliano and what he did for the House of Dior, in terms of imagination, he was able to brought up the play, the story behind every outfit in his collection. I remember that during when I was still in school in UP as a fashion student, I remember that there was this interview with John Galliano when he did the Opera House fashion show for couture, and he mentioned Marquesa Casati, which is a very prominent early 19th century, early 20th century, earliest earlier 20th century na personality who would throw this masquerade balls, and that is what she did. What John Galliano did in his Paris Opera House couture collection for Dior, where he played out the same fantasy of what if the Marquesa Casati, threw a ball at the Paris Opera House with all the resplendent na mga outfits for Dior Couture. And I remember, Diana Ross was speechless when she saw the collection, and the only thing that she was able to say was that it was exquisite. Tells us something about, the fantasy of fashion. And I think if you're playing that angle, you see fashion as a sort of fantasy, as a sort of play, then you would have a fun, a fun stay at fashion weeks, because hindi siya competition sa'yo, but it is a way to have fun, a way to play, and I think that is one of the things that makes it interesting na subaybayan si Zoe sa kanyang influencer career. Next, let's close it down with the biggest name in fashion, and that's of course Heart Evangelista. Hindi maikakaila that Heart Evangelista is the pioneer. Kung walang Heart, hindi tayo magkakaroon ng P Awards back at Fashion Week, hindi tayo magkakaroon ng mga sumunod sa yapak niya. And I think we should all be appreciative of the hard work that Heart Evangelista has placed and put in behalf of every Filipino in the fashion industry, because nakilala tayo because of her. And I think one of the biggest wins of Heart Evangelista this year is the fact that she was able to show who she really is, not only in her Heart World na show, but also in the brands that she is working with. The mere fact that this last few months, this November and December, she flexed her fashion muscle. We've seen her endorse the Angel Nova perfume, the Dolce & Gabbana Intense na mga perfumes. We've seen her having a moment with fashion houses like Cartier and Carolina Herrera, and a gamut of other brands. Meron siyang Singapore, meron siyang Malaysia, meron siyang Indonesia na mga travels in just a matter of 3 months, from October, November, December. Shows, the power that she has on fashion. And the mere fact that kahit yung mga Indonesians are appreciative of her partnership with Von World, the mere fact na may mga bands nang nasa-sold out because of her, shows yung capacity niya to move merchandise. And not only that, ilang beses niya tayong flinexan in terms of sold out Angel Nova na perfume, sold out ang Pat McGrath na lip tint, sold out yung mga bags that she endorses. So it gives us a good sense of this is who and what an influencer is all about. And the mere fact na bugbog yung kanyang schedule with travels, endorsements, public appearances, talks, the mere fact na meron pa siyang oras na mag-Vogue talks during the Vogue Threads in November, kahit na may sinat at may lagnat siya, shows the dedication that she has for this industry, and it shows din yung kanyang yung kanyang passion sa industry nito whenever you talk about fashion with her. Because when she, when we were blessed enough to be able to guest her in UP in April, my students did not give her easy questions in fashion. Of course, walang mga personal questions na involved, but a lot of the questions that my students gave were very intelligent na mga questions on fashion. Like, nag-uulit ka ba ng mga outfits mo? Paano mo inuulit? Paano mo mix and match yung mga items that you have so that it still looks new and fresh, even if nagamit mo siya before? And how do you make the investment on fashion? How do you see fashion in the next 5-10 years? So these are questions that she was able to answer intelligently with fashion vocabulary. The mere fact that she's mentioning Michael Coste, Kevin Kwan, the different editors of Vogue that she's met over the years, from Desmond Lib to Anna Wintour, to meeting Andre Leon Talley. These are personalities. These are words that most industry practitioners know. And the mere fact that the students are able to talk to her and talk to her with these names, knowing that she has, she has had Christmas with Christian Louboutin. She had, has a personal relationship with these designers from Elisab and other, French luxury designers. It tells you that she is really dedicated and passionate to this industry. And my students having that and seeing that, pwede pala ang mga Filipinos na umakyat sa global stage with that magnitude, allows them permission to dream big. Kasi before Heart, we haven't heard of anyone who has made this big in the international fashion industry. The last person that we know who made it this big in the industry is Ana Baile, and that is in the modeling part of the fashion industry. So, isipin mo, a lot of my students were at awe with the experience, told me, and showed us essentially that all it takes pala for us to dream big is someone to show you that yes, you can, because they already did it, and that person telling you that you can do also, that you can also, get to a career this big, because it's sort of like we all need a verbal permission from someone of authority to tell us that yes, you can. And that assurance, malaking ego boost, malaking confidence boost for anyone who feels small in this industry, who feels like napakaliit nating bosses para mapakinggan ng buong mundo. And this, this kind of confidence boosting na talk is the reason why a lot of my students wish to have a personal time with her na mapakinggan siya talking about fashion, mapakinggan siya to tell them that if kaya niya, kaya din natin. And I think that is the biggest blessing that Heart has given my students. Hindi na sa akin but for my students alone, I think napakalaking napakalaking moral booster, kasi the mere fact that some of them started to compete at mga fashion na mga competitions, yung DOST PTRI na Stitch Up, yung Bench Design Award, which one of my students in I Academy is one of the semi-finalists. One of my students as well in I Academy won the Shell Balikha na design competition, and I am lining up another potential na competition for my students again in this coming 2025, so that ma-build up yung confidence nila to to dream big in the industry. And I think that is one of the biggest gifts that anyone can give to you, yung mabigyan ka ng konfiyansa sa sarili mo. I think that is one of the blessings that Heart has given us this year, that hindi ko kayang ibigay sa mga students ko kung ako lang mag-isa yung magsasabi sa kanila na kaya nyo, na you can do this. Sometimes we need someone who has made it in the industry na sabihin sa'yo na you can do it, you can live up your dreams, that you only need to work hard, trust yourself, trust with your talent. Napakalaking moral booster nun, and this is the reason why I am forever thankful and grateful to the opportunity that Heart gave to my students. And this only happened once. I don't think na mauulit pa ito, pero kung kayang maulit, why not, diba? But the mere fact that until now, I have students na coming up to me na saying na, "Sir, sana naman madala mo si Heart sa amin for our class na ganito, ganyan." Alam mo yun, parang it's suntok sa buwan that napansin tayo. Kasi sino lang naman ako para pansinin ng isang Heart Evangelista? That kind of blessing, that kind of knowledge na there is someone who believes in the work that I do for my students, that my intention is for them to have the opportunities that I did not have, to have the learning that hindi ko naranasan during my time as a student, na maibigay ko sa kanila. I think malaking blessing yun for me as an educator. Kasi it's not every day that you get this kind of validation na ako din, in my ambitions, in my dreams as a teacher, as an educator, valid pala yung mga ginagawa ko. Na valid naman pala yung mga paghihirap na ginagawa ko for my students, because napapansin siya ng mga powers at be, and they are willing to sit down for an hour and engage with my students and learn and no, no, and teach, what they have learned, and share, their invaluable na knowledge with them. That is the reason why, Heart Evangelista is number one on my list. And this is also the reason why I am kind of protective of her. Yes, I know that a lot of, haters, a lot of pageant fans will throw it in my face that you are biased, you are pro Heart. I would say yes. And there is a middle ground where I can be pro Heart, but at the same time, I can be level-headed when I am giving out criticisms or critiques on every other influencer that there is. So, pwede ka naman na magkaroon ka ng preference, but at the same time, maintain a level-headedness when it comes to giving feedback, when it comes to giving critiques, when you're criticizing someone else's work, and find, a fair way, or rather fair calling out when it comes to their work. Especially knowing what I know behind what happened behind the scenes from people surrounding, these influencers, these people. There are some knowledge that I cannot share that I know that makes me more knowledgeable when I talk about something. And hindi ito basta-bastang galing lang sa isang tao ang perspective ko. It came from multiple people who are knowledgeable of the shenanigans that happen behind the scenes. And this is the reason why I still have mad respects for Heart, because despite all of the things that she has to go through in the past several years, she still came out as a winner. She still came out as someone who is willing to help other people, and someone who's willing to share what she knows in order for others, to follow behind her steps and make it big in the global scene. So that's the reason why among the influencers that I think we should be giving attention to in 2025, Heart Evangelista tops the list. So if I'm going to sum it up, we should be following the career trajectory of Kelsey Merritt, Kylie Verzosa, of course, Catriona Gray. Give special, special na attention to a newbie. Her name is Zoe Santiago. And then, of course, Heart Evangelista topping the list. So I think these are the 5 girls, the 5 influencers, Filipina influencers that I am hoping to be bigger and more, hindi lang bigger, more successful in their careers in 2025. Okay?